I was numb. I didn't allow myself to think. I know I sobbed for days, shut off the emotions, except for the weeping. But that was uncontrollable. I think I felt like I was another person. We ended up getting married and had Lauren. Being a mom was different. I had so much anxiety that something would happen to him. And it was weird because Ian was born 2 years. I got pregnant with Ian 2 years after the abortion. And a lot of people would probably wonder why. I think that part of me was like, I wanted to be a mom. So I did allow myself to think of something in my future. And that was, I wanted to be a mom. And I was blessed with him. And then Lauren came along. But there was a part of me that didn't allow me to get super close and give them everything that I could give them now. Because I was so wounded. So they paid a price for that. This ended up being called the Soap Room, this building here, and it's been my peaceful place. So as I started making the soap, I started realizing with the worship music playing and whatnot that was my time where I could just have my quiet time with the Lord while I was making my soap. This smock I have on, my mom used to work at Olson's when it was where Save-A-Lot is on Garfield. This was her work smock, so I kind of feel like I have my mom. When we were kids, she worked there, and then we lost her in a car accident 20 years ago. So when we were going through her stuff, I nabbed things that I remembered. So she pretty much showed me what Christ was like, because she loved me no matter what I did. And when I started acting out in my teen years, she was still there. She wasn't a pushover or anything, but she had a gentleness and a lovingness to her that you could just be comfortable. I make it with oils, so I have palm oil, coconut oil, and olive oil, and you use lye for it, so you do have to wear some safety glasses and gloves, but it's really simple. I just have to measure out all my oils and I melt them, and then I mix the lye, and then I do have a period where I have to wait for the temperatures to get close to each other. They're super high at first, and we want them to go down to about 90 degrees. So 1988, Matt and I had been dating about 8 months, and I missed my cycle. So I took a test, and it was positive. The things that went through my mind, I didn't know what to think. So I told him, and he handled it well. He wasn't freaked out or distraught, but he did kind of give it back to me and said, whatever you want to do, I'm here for you. So I went to my doctor, and he was the same age as my dad and a father of one of my classmates, so kind of like a father figure to me. Very upset with me because I was a diabetic, which is high risk. He knew I was having some kidney issues. He knew I was partying and doing drugs. So his only answer to me was, you need to get an abortion. And then the enemy's like, you don't want to put your mom through that. And if you asked me if I wanted that, or would that have been something I would have chose? No, I never would have thought that I would have done that. But everything, it was like I had to do everything fast. That's one of my things from childhood. It's like, you want everything to be smooth. So if there's something going on, you want to get it taken care of fast. So I told Matt what the doctor said, and I told one friend who had had 2 and said it was no big deal. So I made the appointment where the doctor recommended, and Matt drove me down there, and I went in, all the while praying that Matt would tell me not to do it. I didn't want it. And I sobbed the whole way. I was told when I was in the room to be quiet. I told him I changed my mind, and I got pinned down. And I don't remember a whole lot of it, which is okay. I just remember having no feelings afterwards, like I just shut right off for quite a long time. So it's a regret I'll always have. When I did do the soap, Desert Stream, it came from Isaiah, because at the time of it was when I was just starting to let things come out. So it was a great scripture, from the Lord, to don't think of the things of old. He's starting a new thing. And I clung to that one. It was like, do not call to mind the former things. Pay no attention to the things of old. Behold, I'm about to do something new. Even now it is coming. Do you not see it? Indeed, I will make a way in the wilderness and streams in the desert. Isaiah 43:18 and 19. After we had my son Ian, he's was born in 90, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be a single mom or not. And I did have a conversation with Matt when Ian was 18 months old, and told him that I felt we needed to separate and break off because of the partying, and I didn't want to raise Ian in that. So Matt chose to go to rehab at that time and went to Munson's 30-day program. And we waited a year because I wanted to see if it was going to work. And then we got married in 93. And I had to change too. I mean, it's not like I was the angel in the relationship. And we ended up having a daughter then after we got married. And then it was kind of like, drawn, I think we need to go to church. Because there was that draw, I want to know who the Father is, although I didn't call him Father yet. It was uncomfortable at first, but it's so cool now. I had not allowed myself to think of that day at all. Any conversation that might come up, even if it didn't have the word, I couldn't say abortion, but if there was a pro-life versus pro-choice conversation, I couldn't stand around. I had to walk away. And I was in a bookstore one day, and I was walking, and I glanced down, and there was a book down on the shelf, and it caught my eye, and I know it had to be of the Lord, Her Choice to Heal, healing from abortion. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, what do they mean you heal from abortion? And I couldn't even pick up the book in the store because I was so bound by someone knowing my secret. It was buried so deep, no one was ever going to know my secret. The thought of that book would come back to me at times, and I went online, looked it up, ordered it, and I was so silly. It was like I couldn't even take it out of the mailer it came in. I obviously wasn't ready to read it yet, so I tucked it in to a dresser drawer underneath everything, knowing, like praying no one would ever go through my dresser drawer. I was so bound by shame and that secret that I had such a weird way of looking at things and a fear of someone finding out. My precious mom, I sure do miss her, especially with grandkids. I want them to know her, so I'm always like, okay, Lord, I'll take a little bit more of her in me so I can pour that out on my grandkids. One day, though, as I was really missing her, I was up in my room and had started to know who the Heavenly Father was, but wasn't quite used to talking to him yet. And he let me, it was almost like he said to me, let's talk about it. Let's talk about that secret you have so far down. And I went over to that dresser and I got out that book and I started looking at it and going through the beginning of it, and I wept, was in bed weeping, and it was really different because I had a vision of my mom that night, and she was holding a baby, and I knew it was a boy. We didn't talk or anything, but I think that was like the Lord's way of just telling me, your baby's okay, and you're gonna be okay. So I went through counseling, and I found a counselor who I could say to her, I have an abortion in my past and I need help. So she sent me on a retreat, and that was another step in my healing. I think my eyes were open so much there that what he did on that cross for me, it was so overwhelming that it was like, how can I hold on to this when he did that for me? Why am I carrying this rock when he hung there for me and shed his blood for me? I need to acknowledge what he did for me, and he saved me. So this is my daughter. This is Lauren and Brian, and that's my Joy Easton. I don't think my daughter realizes what this picture means to me. She drew it in art class when she was in high school. And I had told her before she drew this about the abortion, and it really, really hurt her, and she had a lot of anger at me, and I'm sure that was just trauma for her to hear that, which is very understandable. And I was fearful too of what that was doing to our relationship, because the wall was up, and she didn't want to talk to me much. So when she came home one day from school and gave me this drawing, I just felt like, Lord, yes, you have it. So I do see it every day. I don't think we're ever complete on the healing. I think he's got more for me, but he's got me to a part, or to a place where I'm willing to do whatever he wants, which is offer to meet with people who need healing, to be there with them, to support them, to point them to the Lord and all he has to offer. I have my times of the year where I have that time of wishing still, but knowing that I will meet my son, and he does have a name. His name is John David. I long for that day, not that I want to rush, but I look forward to it because I know I'm going to see him, and I know that there's not even going to be talk of that day years ago, because he's in the perfect place and I'm forgiven.